Hey friends, let's talk about the biggest industry news right now, and that is the Nar Settlement. This lawsuit with the National Association of Realtors is essentially a preventative measure against future legal battles with the goal to bring more transparency to real estate commissions and who and how those get paid. For the past several decades, since the 90s, it's been commonplace for the seller to pay both the listing agent and the buyer's agent fees. The seller's agent works with the seller to determine the percentage and then splits that with the buyer's agent. The settlement formalizes what was already a truth, that the seller isn't required to pay the buyer's agent commission. There are lots of reasons why it still makes sense and will benefit everyone for the seller to cover the commission, but now that the settlement is happening, some sellers will decide not to. Because of the settlement, there's a new requirement that will go into effect this summer, where all buyers will have to sign a buyer's agency agreement with their realtor prior to that realtor conducting any real estate activity. Buyers have to officially hire their realtor now and agree to pay for their services if the seller won't cover those fees. As a buyer, you are essentially saying, hey real estate agent, if you send me a home and I'm interested in that home and the seller is not offering to pay for the buyer broker compensation, I will pay that fee to have you represent me and negotiate on my behalf. But before stress sets in, know that plenty of sellers will still offer to pay the buyer's agent commission to cover or offset the fees that the buyers will owe their representation. Why would sellers continue to offer that? Because they want as many buyers as possible to see their property to increase their chance of selling it and selling it for the most money possible. If a seller chooses not to offer a buyer's agent commission, some buyers aren't going to pursue that home because they'll find it difficult to have to come up with the compensation themselves, in addition to all of the other costs that they will already have to pay for the home. So, those sellers not offering a commission will most likely have a much smaller buyer pool than those who do offer a commission. As a buyer, you do have a few other options beyond hiring a buyer's agent. Option 1, you can try to go it alone. This might seem like a good way to save some money, but not having representation and trying to navigate complex, legally binding documents on your own and negotiating over 150 different details against people who do this for a living, that's going to have a steep learning curve that has legal ramifications if not done correctly. Essentially, it would be like getting arrested and then representing yourself in court. Can you do it? Sure. Should you do it? Really, really not recommended. Or, number 2, you can have the listing agent represent you. Again, if you get arrested, do you want the prosecutor as your defense attorney? Probably not. A listing agent is in the contract to represent the seller and get them the very best deal that they can. How can they also then get you as the buyer the very best deal? They literally cannot make the seller more money and save you as a buyer more money simultaneously. There's an inherent conflict in representing both sides. So what will that arrangement look like? The bottom line is when purchasing a home, it is a very legally complex process. Hire a professional who will fight for your needs and your best interest and who knows how to handle all of the moving parts of a transaction. But also you need to be aware that you will now be required to sign a buyer's broker agreement prior to that realtor conducting any real estate business for you. Have questions or want more info? I'm here to be a help and a resource for you. Feel free to reach out.